Ram fans, don't fret about this Sunday. Enjoy the game. I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the September 15th, 2023 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And also, of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Okay, wanting some change? We are starting early today. I am on the road. I'm happy to get this one in. So I'll be on the road in about, as soon as I say goodbye, God bless, see you down the road, I will be on the road. So I'm pumping this one out early. Rams 49ers. Okay, so the first buzz before we get to the breakdown of the game, it always happens every year. There will be more 49ers fans in the house on Sunday than Rams fans. This is the Rams' 8th season back in SoCal after being gone for 21 years. Do you know what happens over the course of 21 years when you don't have a hometown team? You have at least two generations of kids going from 0 to 10 where your sports fandom is kind of crystallized, right? You have at least two generations who grow up and give their allegiance to other teams because there is no other team, right? So they start liking the teams they see and the teams that win, okay? So again, let's keep it straight. Also, Ram fans have a history of being fickle, and that's to put it politely. And the organization is actually doing brain dead things, and I talked about this earlier this week, by cultivating a fan base that embraces too much of the Hollywood culture. People want the Rams fans to look like the Bills fans, the Chiefs fans, the Packer fans, who are just diehard, rabid fans. But that's not what you're cultivating in LA when you bring The Rock out, when you do all the glitzy stuff. So it's never going to happen. Football is a butt-kicking sport with its deepest appeal found in those who grind physically every day for a living. The soft Hollywood elite culture is not the fan base that is going to give them that rabid fan base that's going to be there no matter what. And so you're going to have more 49er fans in there because it's a vapid, fickle fan base that are going to sell their tickets. They're going to bail when your team is bad. It's just what happens. And I understand the bucks of it. The Rams have every right to go after the bucks in terms of the Hollywood aspect of everything. But that pursuit will never lead to a rabid, diehard fan base like Dallas and Buffalo and Kansas City and Denver and all those places. And we have to recognize that. And Rams fans should recognize that. Think about the Raiders. When the Raiders were here, they did a pretty horrible job, but everyone was saying, yeah, the gang culture, but forget about the aspects of the gang culture. What the Raiders developed was they had a pretty gritty fan base, and that fan base is loyal and faithful because it's a little more blue collar. Not that if you sit behind a desk, you can't be a good Ram fan because you're not blue collar, but it's just that ability. It's sweat. It's hard work. It's what builds the equity in the fan base that you're pursuing. And the glitzy stuff that the Rams are pursuing because it's there in LA, I don't think in the long run will ever give them a great fan base. And so there's going to be more 49er fans for a while, right? For another probably 10 years, there's probably going to be 5 years, there's going to be a bigger fan base with the 49ers coming and, doing a red wave in SoFi. Deal with it. I kind of like it. I want the Rams players playing with a chip on their shoulder. When the Rams finally got a chip on their shoulder, when they finally started like pushing back against their fans was in 1979 when they were being booed in the Coliseum. And then they went on a playoff run that got to the Super Bowl, and they very nearly won that Super Bowl. You had Doug France and others saying, hey, man, we're not playing for the fans. We're playing for each other. These are the fans that booed us. And if you ever want an example of what bad Rams fans look like, go look at the NFL Films Super Bowl 14 highlight video. Great video, Facenda, all that stuff. It's good. But when they show highlights of those Ram fans, I can tell you right now, those Ram fans were all frauds. They were just people who had tickets to go to the game, and they were Ram fans because the Rams were winning. I didn't buy any of it. Yeah, I'm a little jaded about Ram fans. So don't worry about this Sunday and there being a red wave and everyone's going to have all kinds of speculation and talk. Don't get all worked up about it. Going to the NFL, last night's Thursday night game, the North Georgia Eagles held off the Minnesota Vikings. And the Eagles didn't look good, did they? I didn't think they looked good. They should have lost in New England. They could have easily lost in New England. They didn't play well last night. Justin Jefferson loses the ball out of the back of the end zone. Former Ram Brandon Powell fumbles the ball at the 30-yard line on a punt return that would have set up possibly another Viking score. Philly didn't look great. And then Jalen Hurts had to chill out A.J. Brown on the sideline. Now, I thought Sirianno and all them, they did a great job. They said, you know what, we're just going to pound this ball, and DeAndre Swift did a good job. But that didn't look like a dynamic Eagles team. That didn't look like a team that I'm in total fear of. As we were looking at this schedule, I have chalked that Ram game against the Eagles. I think it's week 5. I've chalked that up as a Rams loss all the way. But I'm chalking it up as a blowout. That's what I've been doing. I don't know if it's a blowout anymore, because I'll tell you one thing, Jalen Hurts doesn't look very dynamic. And, I heard something and they should let him run more. He just didn't look like he was moving terrifically or strong or well. He's strong, but I mean, in terms of the cutting and the moving, he didn't look like a dynamic runner. And I think he's a good passer. I like Jalen Hurts because I do think he is a great leader. I loved how he got into A.J. Brown, not into his grill necessarily, but he pushed back. I really like that. And that could be a problem. And if something happens to Hurts, the Eagles will be in a world of hurt. And maybe that's why you shouldn't run him so much, because you really shouldn't have in week 2 someone like A.J. Brown being worried about his touches when your ultimate goal is getting back to the Super Bowl. Let me tell you something. That's not a Robert Woods move. That's not a Cooper Kupp move. And I have to go back and check out A.J. Brown's blocking compared to Kupp, Woods, and some of those previous Ram receivers, because it was all about team, right? And we also saw, sometimes the selfish receiver, a la DK Metcalf, can really sabotage your team with ridiculous brain dead moves. So good for Jalen Hurts. The thing is today to bag on Kirk Cousins for losing another primetime game. That game, Cousins wasn't great, but I mean, he was good. But that offensive line, he was getting the snot beat out of him. He had receivers drop the ball. He had 2 turnovers that were completely out of his hands that cost them points. I don't get it. It's real easy to pile on Kirk Cousins there. The Vikings are 0-2. The Eagles are 2-0. But as I used to say when I wrote my column at the Mid-Valley Sports, the Eagles are a team that is cruising for a bruising, and those North Georgia Eagles better get it together. Okay, we're in week 2 with the Rams 49ers. What the Rams need to do to beat the 49ers, okay? In my head, it's been playing what's going to happen. This could be a 45-7 game, a 35-7 game, and I think most of us are in the belief that the 49ers are going to win if you're thinking rationally. And I will say this, that Eagle team is not going to beat the 49ers. So to me, the 49ers are the team to beat. They are the standard in the NFC right now. So instead of talking about, hey, the Rams aren't going to beat them, I thought, well, what could the Rams do to beat the 49ers, right? And a couple things, I think it's psychological a little bit. One, the Rams have to remember the 49ers are a team, and I brought this up on Wednesday, whose window for the Super Bowl is closing. It's not opening any wider. It's going to start to contract because of contracts and age and broken down ball players. And so they're trying to keep that window as wide open as possible, and they're just not going to be able to stop that from happening. And this is their year. And the Rams are just starting to reopen their Super Bowl window. So who's the pressure all on? The pressure is all on the 49ers, and the Rams need to recognize that the pressure is on the 49ers. And they also have to have, number two, perspective. Everything that has happened in the last 8 regular season meetings between these teams feels like it's always been the Rams responding to what the 49ers are going to do, as opposed to the Rams making the 49ers respond to what they're going to do, right? I'm just, that's a weird space to get in a little bit. If you've seen all those games, we're always kind of reacting to what the 49ers do, doing this with Debo, doing that. And as opposed to, it's like, you know what? Forgive my language here. I'm gonna pastel it. Blank you. We're gonna do what we want to do. You try to stop us, or we're gonna get in your way. So you're not gonna do what you want to do, and we're gonna be nasty. And outside of Aaron Donald, there hasn't been a lot of nasty on this team. I did like what we saw in the Rams defenders. I love Darian Kendrick. I think Darian Kendrick has some nasty in him. I think Russ Yeast definitely has some nasty in him. And I think Ernest Jones can get there as well. So I'm excited about this, that Raheem Morris, he's key here. He wins this game or he makes a great show and the Rams go on to a great season. He's in line for another HC job because McVay is good enough. Stafford is good enough. And the Rams defense should be all concerned about what they're going to do to the 49ers and exposing that right side of the Frisco offensive line, right? That right side with Burford and McKivitz, and expose the right side of that Frisco offensive line and make them adjust to the Rams. Offensively, I wouldn't even try to be, how we say conservative here. This is going to be a loss, likely, maybe, perhaps. So if I'm McVay, pass, and pass again, literally pound the ball through the air. Their front seven in Frisco is dynamic. It is unbelievable. I think you can beat their safeties and their corners and make them play. And so pass, and pass again, and do whatever you have to do to give that split second of time to Matthew Stafford. But don't back off, run conservative, because I really think a Ram offensive line that is yet to establish itself in terms of road grading, right? I mean, they didn't do terrific. They were okay, passable, 2.3 yards against Seattle. This 49er front is far superior to Seattle's. And I know the thinking is, and I'm all for it, pound, establish the run. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So go to your strength. Pass, and pass again. Pound the ball through the air. And then don't completely abandon the running game, but be aggressive. Be aggressive because no one's expecting you to win, and all the pressure is on the 49ers. Can you imagine how the world flips on its head if somehow the Rams beat the 49ers in SoFi? Boy, it's going to cause a lot of upheaval in the NFC. Also, a Ram victory at SoFi, which I'm not guaranteeing anything, but it's fun to dream. Can you imagine what that does to the trade market if the Rams beat the 49ers in SoFi and go 2-0? Suddenly, the Rams might be buyers again going forward. Also, when the Rams run the ball, this is the fourth thing I was thinking. When the Rams run the ball at Bosa. Just run it at Bosa over and over and over again. And you might not be successful because there's Bosa, there's Eric Armstead. There's a lot of talent. We're going to go through that here in a second. But run it at Bosa and build mileage on that dude. Let that guy take a lot of hits, a lot of pounding. Let him have a lot of physical action. He's in great shape, but let's build up the hit count on that guy. So maybe when the Rams face him in January at the end of the season, he's a little worn down. Just my thoughts there. On the Rams as a whole here, keep an eye on Christian Roseboom. He got the most snaps of his career. He got 34 snaps on Sunday. Up to then, he had done only 8 total in his entire career, and he didn't grade out too well. We saw it, right? So it'll be curious to see if either Troy Reeder makes his return, and Reeder's wearing number 59 right now, or Jake Hummel starts taking some of those snaps of Roseboom. I like Roseboom, a lot of heart. He's a special team guy. Also, another guy who got 11 snaps last week was Zach Van Valkenburg. Of all the players, They drafted O'Shawn Mathis. They drafted Nick Hampton. They looks like they may have something kind of neat in Byron Young, and Michael Hoyt is not a chump. No one expected Zach Van Valkenburg, and Van Valkenburg got 11 snaps. He has a high motor. It'll be interesting to see him. Keep an eye on him going forward. Regarding the 49ers, they run that 4-3 defense. They got really good defensive tackles. And last week, Javon Hargrave graded 12 out of 127. Eric Armstead, 16 out of 127. Of course, there's Nick Bosa at one defensive end, edge, however you want to define it. He graded 12 out of 107. And here's the interesting one. Grading 13th best defensive end edge player last week out of 107 was Cleveland Farrell. Anyone remember Cleveland Farrell? He was the 4th overall pick in the 2019 draft by the Raiders, and he was an absolute bust. Now, he didn't get arrested for anything. He didn't get, for any law breaking. He didn't get arrested for online waving a gun around, but he was just another in a series of overall Gruden Mayock flops in Las Vegas. And he's only registered 13 sacks coming in to the 2023 season. He didn't get one last year, but he held the last week. He held the edge. He did well. But 5 of those 13 career sacks came in 2019, and he's starting at the right side on the right side of the 49ers offensive line, and he graded pretty well. So it's like the Raiders couldn't get anything out of him. Maybe the 49ers will. As I shared offensively, about the only space where you really see the 49ers being vulnerable is on the right side of their line. Their right tackle, McKivitz, 63 out of 65. He was graded. Right guard, Spencer Buford, was graded the worst right guard in the league. Buford's a 4th-round pick out of Texas San Antonio, and he's in his 2nd year as a starter, and that wasn't a great beginning for him last week in Pittsburgh. In fact, Pittsburgh's 3 sacks came from that side of the offensive line. So maybe there's an opportunity there for the Rams to exploit and maybe dictate a little bit to the 49ers. Also, the other thing the Rams have to do, and I think they did a pretty good job of it this week, is they have to tackle. And we know they tackle, but Christian McCaffrey breaks a lot of tackles, and it's that breaking of the tackles where he kills you. And there's even a great highlight of him against Pittsburgh where he gets past everybody, even Minka Fitzpatrick, and so he goes off to big plays. So they really need to tackle well. So my prediction, which when the season started was thinking 45-7, when last week ended, I was thinking 35-7. I'm feeling optimistic, and I'm feeling if the Rams can play loose, right? If they can play loose and keep in mind that they're looking to reopen their Super Bowl window while the 49ers are doing the whole Atlas thing and trying to keep their window open. They are desperate to keep their window open because it's really going to shrink next year. The pressure's on the 49ers. The Rams don't have to worry about impressing their fans because it's probably going to be a red wave at SoFi. So come out there, play with a chip, have fun, and I still see the 49ers winning 30-21. And I take this exception here when Ram fans will come after me for not picking the Rams. Hey, I picked against the Rams last week and they won. And if I pick against the Rams this week and they win, then we got something going here, and I'll keep picking against the Rams. Just keep saying this to yourself over and over again for good vibes, good thoughts, good karma, good mojo. We don't believe in a spiritual karma, but I do believe in a sports karma, sports mojo. Keep saying this over and over again. Jackson, Avila, Shelton, Noteboom, Havenstein. Jackson, Avila, Shelton, Noteboom, Havenstein. Jackson, Avila, Shelton, Noteboom, Havenstein. Let's get those guys 81 snaps all together again, and let's pave the road for a Ram victory. Okay, I am Joe Terosian, and I was a sports writer for 21 years, and now I do RamView, and I write books. My books are found on Amazon. I've written 2 high school football novels that were very well received. You can check those out. One of them is called Tangent Dreams. I've also written 5 other books, most of them of Christian nature, and you can find those on Amazon as well. And they reveal to you that my day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, located right at Burbank Faith, is located right in the heart of downtown Burbank, 505 South 6th Street. And you can find us at Burbank Faith Virtual right here on YouTube. That's our channel, as well as Burbank Faith Virtual across social media if you're interested. And I get to do that because I have some great sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto. So thank you so much for clicking on. That's the end of the commercial. And we will keep pressing on here. Tim Burns, thank you so much for clicking on. Rob Swords, that's Rob is Steeler fan in Missouri. 49ers don't care what you want to do. They're going to do what they want. Yeah, they certainly did it to the Steelers, didn't they? Steelers think their Super Bowl window is open, and the 49ers just went in there and gave them the what for, right? They just said, hey, this is what we're doing. They certainly showed it to you. I'd like to see the Rams, who have less lofty aspirations in what this season could be. I do believe they'll play a little bit looser than the 49ers. And this thing won't decide the Rams season, whereas I think the 49ers exposed that maybe the Steelers aren't ready. Hey, you take care of your business, Steeler fan Rob, and we'll take care of our business, and then we'll meet on Monday morning. Rams news injury report. Joe Noteboom limited. Akilla Weatherspoon was limited a little bit this week, but he's ready to go, full participation on Thursday. Jason Taylor growing. I'm not too worried about him. We got depth at safety. Puka Nacua did not practice on Thursday, and it sent shockwaves through the fantasy football realm. And we don't know. It's an oblique. He took a pounding. He took some serious hits. We hope the kid's okay, and we want to see him play. But we'll just have to wait and see. The 49ers, no issues. Trent Williams is just getting his rest. He's ready to go. George Kittle's ready to go. Ray McLeod's ready to go. Dre Greenlaw, linebacker, is limited. But when you got Fred Warner, you are a dangerous, dangerous person. Stetson Bennett, AMS, one of our loyal RamView followers, was asking about Stetson Bennett on Wednesday show, and I said, well, maybe his arm's tired, did not know. The Rams put Stetson Bennett on the NFI list. That's the non-football injury list. So that means something else is going on with him, and Sean McVay's not talking about it. And you know what? That's okay, right? We don't need to know. Maybe down the stretch, if he leaves the Rams, if he's no longer part of the organization, then yeah, we should probably hear something. But right now, he's on the non-football injury list, and we're going to see. We're going to see how it plays out. And also, they brought Brett Rippon up fully to the active roster, and we'll see how that plays out. Let's see. I'm getting some action here. Tim Burns, yes, I'm up early. And he says, Tim Burns, loyal RamView follower up in NorCal, says it may get ugly. Either Sci-Fi rocks or SF rocks, San Francisco rocks, or Steeler fan is going to cry this year. Steeler fan is probably going to cry. Okay. Week 2 in the NFL, we talked about the Eagles, Vikings. And I've said it, this Philly team as it stands right now is not beating Frisco. It's not, right? And the Rams might be in that game that I've been giving to Philly since the spring when the schedules came out. The only way this Philly team beats Frisco right now is if Sam Darnold's at quarterback, right? Or was it Kyle Allen or Brandon Allen? One of the other Allens is at quarterback. Let's look to this week. Packers, Falcons. I'm going to go with the Falcons at home, but they got to get Drake London some touches, right? They have to get Drake London some touches. Raiders, Bills. Buffalo wins the LaMonica Bowl. And if I have to explain to you what the LaMonica Bowl, maybe you in the comments box can tell me what I mean by the LaMonica Bowl. Ravens, Bengals. Everyone's going Ravens. I'm going Bengals at home. I think they snap back. And my question is, which starter do the Ravens lose this week for the rest of the season? It's just an ongoing thing. Seahawks, Lions. I really think Aiden Hutchinson should feast on the second team tackles that the Seahawks are going to have to put out there. Seahawks feeling a little bit of the Rams pain from last year with injuries along the offensive line. Colts, Texans. I'm going Houston at home. Chiefs, Jaguars. I'm going Jags. And then I this will be KC's last loss. Everyone will throw dirt on their grave, and then they'll run off probably a 10-game winning streak. although Mahomes has never been 0-2 in his career. Bears, Buccaneers, just can't get into Justin Fields, right? Just can't get into Justin Fields. And Tampa Bay, with all of his limitations and everything else, Tampa Bay's bought into Baker Mayfield. So no one would have expected the Buccaneers to be 2-0, but I think they are. Chargers going to the Titans. I'm giving this to the Chargers because the Titans don't look good to me. Tannehill doesn't look good to me. But if the Bolts lose in Tennessee on Sunday, Brandon Staley should be kiffined. And if you know what I mean by being kiffined, drop it in the comment box when I say Brandon Staley should be kiffined. Giants, Cardinals, G-Men, again, in a blowout. I picked them last week. They let me down. You can't lose to the Cardinals. And if you do, maybe we need to rethink Brian Dable. 49ers, Rams, again, we've talked about that. What does the world look like if the Rams win? Beautiful. Jets, Cowboys, okay? I do like the Cowboys in this game, but everyone is talking about Zach Wilson. What they really should be talking about or having in the conversation is how's Dak Prescott going to fare against the Jets defense? I'm not really overwhelmed by this Cowboys offense. I think their offensive line is always injured. It's got age. Dak Prescott has shown that he's an okay quarterback. Are you that high on CeeDee Lamb and everybody else? Brandon Cooks, Tony Pollard getting full reps. I don't know. I'm just not really big on the Cowboys offense, and that Jet defense is very good. So instead of thinking about what the Cowboys are going to do to the Jets, maybe we better start thinking about what are the Jets going to do to the Cowboys. Cowboys might pull it out because they got a good defense and they're going against Zach Wilson, but think about what the Jets may do to the Cowboys. If the Jets pull that out, Robert Saleh goes to the head of the class in terms of Coach of the Year honors. Taxskins, Broncos. I'm going with the Taxskins with the audit in Denver. I'm going with the Taxskins in the upset in Denver. Sam Howell looks like he's a lot of fun. I got to believe the Taxskins are better than they showed against the Cardinals. And it's just tough to believe in Russell Wilson these days. Man, if there's the perfect timing award, doesn't the perfect timing award have to go to Schneider and Carroll up in Seattle for knowing exactly when to parachute out of the Russell Wilson plane and then to pick up all those picks? I mean, whoa, right? We'll see how that works out. Okay. Don't count on sacks on the right side. Really? Against McGlinchey? Didn't TJ Watt get sacks on the right side? Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. Okay, Dolphins and Patriots on Sunday night. I think the Fish win a tight game. And here's the funny thing. I'm starting to like Tua. I'm starting to get some warm fuzzies for Tua. And I'll get into a little bit of that just down the road here. But I'm going Dolphins. Monday, Saints and Panthers. I can't stand 2 Monday night games. I think the Panthers win ugly at home. I really do. I'm not a firm believer in the Saints team just yet. Derek Carr took a lot of hits, and we'll see how that plays out. Browns, Steelers. Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. I'm right here with you. I'm taking Pittsburgh, but I'm not confident. I'm not confident at all. I have a vision of Myles Garrett spinning Kenny Pickett's helmet around. So you need to work on that, man. You need to work on that. But I am going with the Steelers because I have more confidence in the black and gold than I do necessarily in Deshaun Watson. So I was 9-7 last week. Not fantastic. That's why we don't bet. But I was 9-7 in my picks. Okay, just running around the league and look at the teams individually. The Seahawks, Abraham Lucas is on the IR. Charles Cross, the right tackle or the left tackle, is on week to week. And they signed some really ancient tackles to play. Jason Peters, who's 40 years old and came into the league in the Jurassic period. We talked about the 49ers. Chargers need to win in Tennessee. Raider fans, it just seems like we know he's good, but he just seems to get better all the time. Is Max Crosby. The Raiders have missed on so many number one draft picks, but Max Crosby, 4th round, 106 overall in 2019 out of Eastern Michigan. Last week against the Broncos, he had 6 pressures, 4 hurries, a hit, and a sack. He just gets better and better. And in the LaMonica Bowl with the Bills, right tackle Spencer Brown for the Bills is about to find out how good Max Crosby is. And I hope for Josh Allen's sake that Crosby isn't too good. Broncos not believing in. Chiefs, Travis Kelce is likely. L'Jarius Sneed is questionable. We know this. I was interested in last night that Nakobe Dean was out for the Eagles, and so is James Bradbury, corner, and I think they're going to need him. I think it showed they're going to need him. Looking at the Jets, we're talking about the defense and everything, but is Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook the best Jets rushing tandem since Snell and Boozer? Kind of interesting. And Tua, I want to talk about Tua and the Dolphins real quick. Tua's talking a bit more, right? He's kind of just, he's answering back. He's not really worrying about what people are saying. And I don't know if it's the change in culture, what Mike McDaniel brings versus Brian Flores. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's growing as a young man. But Tua's talking a little bit more, and I like it because he's kind of defending himself. And so I'm really liking what I'm seeing in Tua. We talked about J.C. Horn being out for the Panthers, Terrell Lewis signing to the practice squad of the Saints. The Packers. This is why I like the Packers. I like the Buccaneers this week. The Falcons this week against the Packers is Aaron Jones and Christian Watson might not play. Hammy issues. Browns lost Jack Conklin at ACL and signed Ty Nsekhe, former Ram left tackle, right? Keep in mind, the Ravens just keep losing everybody. J.K. Dobbins, Marcus Williams, Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum. Mark Andrews is practicing, but they're not 100% sure he's going to play. And, of course, they lost Marlon Humphrey in the preseason. So, Steelers, we talked about, is it time to dump Matt Canada? Cam Hayward to the IR? Steeler fan Rob in Missouri, you getting worried? And also, you were yapping about Steeler fan Rob, and the Steelers were yapping about how TJ Watt is going to do against Browns rookie DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. DeJuan Jones is 6'8", 375, playing right tackle for the Browns. TJ Watt should run in around him, over him, and knock him down. He is a soft 6'8", 375. That's why he dropped in the draft. His size put him into the NFL. And his pedigree playing in Ohio State, but I don't think he's going to last long unless he gets an eye of the tiger. And honestly, if I was a head coach, I'd find out how much DeJuan Jones wants to play. And what I would do is I'd feed him some raw meat and I'd plug him in at the zero technique at nose tackle. How nice would it be to have a guy at 6'8", 375 coming up the middle, especially if you can develop a motor in him. So in regards to TJ Watt and the Steelers win this game, but what I want to see is Derek Thomas type numbers from TJ Watt. Maybe not 10 sacks. I want to see 4 sacks from TJ Watt against DeJuan Jones. Okay, there we go. Let's check out the messages here. Yes, Tim Burns, never deny that Carroll is a great coach and does get cute sometimes. Yeah, otherwise he'd have 2 rings. Tim Burns, I don't think Tua's ever talked before, and he's improving with his chat. And so that's what I kind of like. I just want to see him. To me, it's all about him staying healthy. Okay, on this date in Ram history in 1940, Merlin Olsen was born. He passed away a number of years ago. He would have been 83 today. On this date in 1957, former Rams corner, 1980 draft pick out of Kansas, Leroy Irvin turns 66 today. Very underrated in his Rams career. Wore number 47, same as Charlie Stoops. Phone people trying to call me again. I think it's Stan Kroenke. He wants to say something to Steeler fan Rob. And also, long shot here. See if anyone remembers. Former Rams safety Quentin McKell turns 43 today. Dying on this day, the same day in 2001. Former Ram defensive back Dwayne Osteen. He was only 46. Dwayne Osteen was on that 79 Ram team that made that playoff run. He was dealt to the Raiders in 1980 and ended up going back to the Super Bowl and winning a ring with the Raiders. Nice career for a journeyman defensive back, but he passed away in 2001 at the age of 46, as did Ram legend of the Bull Elephant backfield that included Deacon Dan Towler and Dick Horner, is Tank Younger. He passed away in 2001 at the age of 73. Ram news. On this day in 1971, the Rams released backup quarterback Carl Sweeten. Sweeten spent, this one's funny. Sweeten spent 5 seasons in the league. He was out of Wake Forest. The Lions selected him in the 18th round in the 1965 draft. And he played for the Lions, the Saints, and the Rams. So here's an interesting thing. He appeared in 11 games for the Rams in 70 and 71, starting none. He threw 2 touchdown passes. In his whole career, he had 17 touchdowns, 34 interceptions. If you watch the movie Paper Lion, you'll see Carl Sweeten in there. And he spent the rest of his life, after getting cut by the Rams, he spent the rest of his years working as a casino dealer in Las Vegas before passing away in July of 2000. But here's the funny thing. In July of 1972, after he was cut, right, the year after he was cut by the Rams, Carl Sweeten was arrested for trying to sell his playbook to the New Orleans Saints. There is and I'll post it maybe somewhere online today, or I got a picture of the article cut out, is that, yeah, he tried to sell his playbook, his Rams playbook, to the Saints coach JP Roberts to inform the officials, and I guess the FBI or someone else showed up, and he was arrested for trying to do that. No wonder he never had another job in the NFL after that. I thought that was kind of funny. So, all right. So Carl Sweeten gets arrested. We're at the 35-minute mark. Folks, I want to say thank you, Rob in Missouri, Tim Burns up north, and whoever else joins us. Thank you guys so much for clicking on. Thank you to all those who have watched the show, like and subscribed. Thank you so much. Please, if you're watching us for the first time, hit the like button, hit the alarm button, as it helps us build our footprint. You could also do that on Spotify. Our podcasts have not done as well as these. So if you can check out our podcast, it's the same show. It's the audio version of the show over on Spotify to help us build our footprint there. We would greatly appreciate it. Final thoughts: enjoy the game, but unless Stafford goes down with a season-ending injury, don't fret, okay? What we're going to get is an idea about how close the Rams are to reopening their Super Bowl window. And maybe along the way, we could put a little panic in the 49ers' eyes, because they're going to need some panic, because they ain't panicking by what they see coming from Philadelphia. Okay, folks, God bless. Take care. Thank you so much for clicking on. TJ can get sacks against anyone. Yeah, a rookie from Ohio State, Steeler fan Rob, he better get sacks. Okay, God bless, take care, and I will see you on Monday.